This lecture is prepared for BA 6th semester paper 6.1 International Economics. Unit 1 topic is the differences between international trade and interregional or internal trade. The main point of differences between international trade and interregional trade are on the following points. Number 1. Factor in mobility. The classical economists advocated a separate theory of international trade on the ground that factors of production are freely mobile within each region or within each country, but the factors of productions are not freely mobile between or among the countries. This is the main point of difference between international trade and interregional trade. There is a complete adjustment to wage differences and factor price disparities within a country with quick and easy movement of labor and other factors from low return to high sectors. But no such movements are possible internationally. Prices change lead to movement of goods between countries rather than factors. The reasons for international immobility of labor are differences in languages, customs, occupational skills, unwillingness to leave family surroundings and family ties, the high traveling expenses to the foreign country, and restrictions imposed by the foreign country on labor immigration between the countries. Second point of difference is the differences in natural resources. It is very important to note that in case of international trade, the quantity and quality of natural resources available in different countries are highly different. Different countries are endowed with different types of natural resources, hence they tend to specialize in the production of those commodities in which they are strictly endowed and trade them with other countries where such resources are scarce. In Australia, land is in abundance but labor and capital are relatively scarce. On the other hand, capital is relatively abundant and cheap in England while land is scarce and there. Thus, commodities requiring more capital such as manufacturing items can be produced in England while such commodities as wool, mutton, wheat, etc. requiring more land can be produced in Australia. Third point of difference is the geographical and climatic differences among or between the countries. Every country cannot produce all the commodities due to geographical and climatic conditions, except at possibly prohibitable cost. For instance, Brazil has favorable climatic geographical condition for the production of coffee, Bangladesh for jute, Cuba for beet sugar, etc. So countries having climatic and geographical advantages specialize in the production of particular commodities and trade them with other countries. Next point of difference between international trade and interregional trade is on the ground that different existence of different markets. International markets are separated by difference in languages, uses, habits, taste, fashions, etc. Even the systems of weight and measurements and pattern and styles in machinery equipment differs from country to country. For instance, British railway engines and freight cars are basically different from those in France or in United States. Thus, goods which may be traded within regions may not be sold in other countries. Next point of difference is mobility of goods. There is also the difference in the mobility of goods between inter-regional and international markets. The mobility of goods within a country is restricted by only geographical distances and transportation cost. But there are many tariffs and non-tariff barriers on the movement of the goods between countries. Besides exports and import duties, there are quotas, BES, exchange control, export subsidies, dumping, etc., which restrict the mobility of goods as international trade. Different currencies. Another important point of difference between international trade and interregional trade is the different currencies. The principal difference between the interregional and international trade lies in the use of different currencies in foreign trade, but the same currency is available in the domestic trade. Rupee is accepted throughout India from north to south, from east to west. But if we cross over to Nepal or Pakistan, we must convert our rupee into their rupee to buy goods and services there. Another point of difference is the problems of balance of payment. Important point which distinguishes international trade from interregional or internal trade is the problems of balance of payment. The problem of balance of payment is perpetual in international trade, while regions within a country have no such problem. This is because there is a greater mobility of capital within the regions than between the countries. Next point is different transportation cost. Trade and business between countries involves high transportation cost as against interregionally within a country because of geographical differences between different countries. Next point of difference is different economic environment. In case of international trade, countries differ in their economic environment which affect their trade relations among or between the countries. The legal framework, institutional setup, monetary, fiscal, commercial policies, factor endowments, production techniques, nature of products, etc. differs between the countries. But there is not much difference in economic environment within the same country. Next point of difference is the different political groups. A significant distinction between interregional and international trade is that of all regions within the country belong to one political unit, while other different countries have different political units. Interregional trade is among people belonging to same country, even though they may differ on the basis of caste, creeds, religion, taste, customs, etc. They have a sense of belonging to one nation and their loyalty to the region is secondary. Next important point of difference between international trade and interregional trade is the different national policies. Difference between interregional and international trade arises from the fact that policies relating to the commerce, trade, taxation, etc. are same within the same country, but in case of international trade, there are artificial barriers in the forms of quotas, import duties, tariffs, exchange controls, etc. on the movement of goods and services from one country to another. Sometimes restrictions are more subtle. They take the form of elaborate custom procedures, packing requirement, etc. Such restrictions are not found in case of interregional trade to impede the flow of goods between the regions. So, These are the important points of differences between international trade and interregional or internal trade. Thank you.